Sahana bhavatu, sahana punaktu, saha viryam karavavahai, tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, any questions? You've all finished your questions yesterday. We were, no questions, right? So, we were studying the assurance of Vedanta. Vedanta is a very positive subject. Sometimes people make it negative, I don't know why, but on the whole, it's very, very positive. It gives you this great feeling of upliftment and, like, we can do it, we can get there type of feeling. If you read most of the scriptures, it's like, you can do anything, that kind of attitude is there in it. So one of the biggest problems that we are likely to have is to think about those great souls, those great masters, people who are ahead of us on the path. And then we think, gosh, look at them. Can we ever be like that? And then we look at ourselves and say, doesn't look like I'm ever going to get there. I'm still getting angry. I'm still getting attached. I'm still doing this. I'm still doing that. It's never going to happen. And so Vedanta says, growth, enlightenment is within the grasp of every human. This is the assurance it gives us. The Lord also in the Gita constantly says that. It's within your grasp. It's right there. Go for it. Do it. You move on. Uttishta parantapa. Get up, O parantapa. Fight. You can do this. So, now doing it means what now? Means it will happen in 4 stages, which we studied. First stage is go with the subject. Just with the subject. Same loka. The same loka, in the same world. And then after that, it sort of imbibes in us a little bit more. Okay? And then it's getting closer. Samipyam. It's closer. And then we have sarupyam. Sarupyam is actually seeing the form. Seeing the form means it is a real experience to you. It is not just like, oh, there's some wonderful thing happening out there, but it's like a real experience. The sages report it as, I'm seeing God everywhere, I'm seeing the Lord everywhere, everything is divine. It's a real experience for them. And then later on, even this experience grows further into sayujyam. So first it's salokyam, same look. Then it's samipyam, comes a little closer. Then it's sarupyam, my God, I experience that divinity. And finally it's sayujyam, where I am one with that divinity. There is no I and divinity, there is only divinity. So that's sayujyam, that is kaivalya, that is moksha, that is enlightenment.
Janki, is audible or you have lost her connection? She's back.
Can you all hear me? I'm here.
Yes, now yes.
I am here. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yes.
We can see you, yes. We can see you, we can hear you.
You were gone for a
Can
few
anyone
seconds.
hear?
Yeah, for 1 or
Janki
2
ji.
seconds you were gone, yeah.
She's gone.
I don't think she's hearing us.
Janki ji, can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear us.
Jyoti, I just heard that sentence. Is somebody else also saying?
So we can hear you now.
Okay,
Can you hear all of us?
I can hear you.
Can you hear
anyone
me?
else? Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so it's
Yes,
back.
It's working now.
Janki ji, we lost you
I
for a
think
few
we
seconds.
are back to.
Janki ji, can you hear me?
Yeah, I lost you too. Yes, I can.
Yeah, we lost you for a few seconds.
Can you hear me?
Yes. No.
This has become like the old time. Remember the phones?
Yes.
Okay, we both lost each other. Now we are both back. Okay, so where were we? We were in the 4 stages of growth. Salokyam, same look. Samipyam, close. 1. Then sarupyam, you see it. That is something like, oh my God, divine everywhere. And finally, sayujyam, means only divinity exists. Now, what has happened in the path is, those who are at stage 1 know they appreciate it. Those who are at stage 2 realize that they have a length to go. I mean, assuming you are on the spiritual path, okay? Some people are just fanatical and they're not even on the path. But on stage 2 also, you realize you have a long way to go. Now, think.
Omkar, I think she's having
It's
some
gone again.
like bandwidth issues.
Yeah.
Maybe we should turn off our videos. That that's going to be for the best.
Hmm. Yeah, there's some issue. Bharat, will you please call her and let her know this? Or should I
Yes.
do that? Okay.
Okay, so how is it now?
Better can
Perfect.
see here.
Yeah, we can see you and hear you.
Good, Jankaji.
All right. So I don't know why God has decreed I should not be speaking of Sarupyam, because every time I come there, everything seems to disappear. Okay. Sarupyam. Many sages come to the stage of Sarupyam and believe they have completed the journey because they do experience divinity. They're extremely pure people, extremely good people, but they don't have the theoretical knowledge. In Vedanta, theoretical knowledge is considered important because if you don't know that you haven't reached the end, then you will settle down. And then what will tell you that you haven't reached the end? You are experiencing divinity. You are completely happy. You know you're a completely pure person. You have experienced divinity, and still, what will make you doubt that you're still in this illusion? Nothing, right? That is why the guru, that is knowledge, is important, because there should be something to tell us. There is no instinctive way. In the earlier stages, there's an instinctive way, agitation. When you're agitated, you know, right, that, okay, something is wrong. Then what happens later on? There's no way you can tell. How do you tell this? But we are all blessed because we know that there is a final stage known as Sayujyam, and we should not rest until we get there. So 4 stages. Many people drop off on stage 1. Some drop off on stage 2. Stage 3, they drop off. They drop off in the sense there is no further sadhana because they feel they have reached the end. And everybody will accept that they are great, they are divine, they are everything. There's no debate that they are great souls, but they stop their journey. So let's not. That's why it's important to go on reminding ourselves. Many people say it's so difficult to conceive realization. Why not just conceive of development and purification and becoming better human beings and doing service? Why not think like that? Because that will become an involvement in itself. Of course, initially we can think like that so that we pull ourselves out of our current involvement. But we must know that there is more. We can't rest with that alone. That's an important thing to know. So that's why it tells us 4 stages. Right? So now let's continue.
Jankiji, one question.
Yeah.
So what happens in Sarupyam stage with respect to the desire for the self? How is it not propelling the person forward?
Because the person feels it's fulfilled. They wanted divinity, they have divinity, now what? They're not going to be separated from that divinity because, now that you have this feeling that, I don't know what to call it, feeling, experience, whatever, like you feel the presence of the divine. And it's with you all the time. So you feel you have it. The desire, according to you, is fulfilled. And you're reveling in that.
Okay, thank you.
And there is no desire for merger. Remember that. In fact, they may even tell you. In fact, there is something about this that I don't want to become sugar. I want to enjoy the sugar. I don't know if you're familiar with this usage, but it's a popular argument against Advaita, which is that why would anyone want to become God? You want to enjoy God. So where does this thing come from? From the concept of duality. There is me who will enjoy the feeling of divinity.
But
So,
can you fall off or slip from such yukon?
no, you can't come down, but it's just that you won't go beyond it. You will stay there for eternity. You will stay. You're not going to ever come down because that's not a possibility.
But if the world is changed, how does one stay in that stage for eternity?
Because you're not dealing with the world now, you're dealing with the transcendental. You are seeing change going on, but in your mind, it's all God. Remember, it's not what you see. It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see. So you're looking at all the change. You can see all the change, but you are seeing only divinity. You're seeing it all a reflection of divinity. Look, all of you, please, you don't need to bother about this stage. We are very long away from that, all right? So relax. Don't agitate yourself unnecessarily. We are very far away. We have a long journey before we go to that stage. So, but please remember it because one day you will reach. I hope one day you will remember, I have reached Sarupyam. I am still to reach Sayujyam. I hope you will remember it one day, whenever that blessed day comes. So, the world being changed will not affect it at all, Deepraj, because he's not involved in the world. He has no interest in the world. For him, the world is divine. What interest does he have in it?
Got it. Thank you.
Jankiji, so if the theory is understood that merger with the self has to take place, but at Sarupyam, even if the person is experiencing fulfillment, how will he know that he still has miles to go?
He won't unless he knows this. He has to be educated on it. It's like a person who lives in a slum cannot know how bad it is until somebody educates him by showing him something else. And it happens at every stage of the journey, right? We are where we are, and we are very happy with where we are, and we believe this is it. So this happens at every stage of the journey. The advantage we have now, we feel that even now. So that, okay, I'm just great. I'm fine. Everything about me is good. Even now I feel it. But I have an advantage that man is not going to have, or woman that's not going to have. What is that advantage?
That I know there is more.
No.
Negative emotions.
Yeah, I'll get agitated. Because though I feel I'm fine, the world will keep doing stuff, then I will get all worked up about it. Then when I get all worked up about it, I'll start doing wrong things. And then I'll do something so wrong that I will know that this is the wrong thing I just did. So I know I have some way ahead. But this advantage is not there with the person on the penultimate stage. He's not going to do anything wrong. He's going to ever be loving. He's always with divinity. Only knowledge. There's no other way.
So the only problem at that stage is that you're still dependent on something external. You see God outside, not you.
No, I wouldn't put it like that. The issue there is still an ego. The ego that says, I am seeing God. It's a very mild ego, but it's still there. The individuality is still present. So there is a me to see God. It isn't just God. But Kabira puts it very beautifully. He says, जब मैं था तो गुरु नाही, अब गुरु है सो मैं नाही, प्रेम गली अति साखली, जामे दो ना समाए. So when the guru was there, when I was there, the guru was not. When the guru is there, now that the guru is there, I am not. Prem Gali, the lane of love is very, what should I say, very narrow, in which two cannot be. So in love, there's only one. Because you feel one with that person, right? You don't feel he and I. That's the big difference between a girlfriend, boyfriend will be you, I, he, she. But a married couple are now we. A couple are now we, married or otherwise. So it becomes one. But so when you're on that stage, you're still saying two. Saying that I who see God. Now, the way we talk about it sounds like all negative stuff. Please remember the highly pure individual. Okay, like he's way more developed than all of us. So this is a highly pure stage, but it still has the slight bit of ego that recognizes its own existence as apart from divinity. So basically, I'm saying God everywhere, but then what happens here? How is this God everywhere except here? The Raj, but they stop their journey for a very long time unless that stage deteriorates as well. No, can't deteriorate. Stays there. Will be there forever. And others will worship them for being in that stage. And they will talk also like that. And then many others will say that, see, my guru said it, so therefore it is correct, because my guru was such a great person. And they're right that their guru was a great person. And they're right that that is what the guru said. But it's still far away from the truth. So, who is M.M. Seagull? Are you new to the class?
Janki ji, this is Milin.
Oh, okay. You
Ah,
become Seagull,
I'll change.
Milin. Okay.
I'll change.
No, it's okay. Now I know who you are. I just want to make tasking so that if anyone is new to the class, they're not left high and dry. I mean, in the sense, sometimes may not be clear, right, what is going on.
Yeah.
So who else is new? Let's see. Anyone else is new? Same. Dipankar, you're not new, are you?
Janki ji, you're gone again. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, we
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I think we
Her
lost
screen,
some-
her screen froze again.
Yes.
I don't see. Yes. Janki ji, you are back. We can see.
What should I do? This is
Janki,
Perfect.
now we can hear.
We can hear.
okay. So I will just keep myself on from both devices. What do I do?
Keep your hotspot on, Janki ji.
Keep my okay. So leave from here. Leave meeting. Okay. He said put hotspot on. Okay, forget it. Can you put hotspot on? Okay, we'll try again. Okay, these 4 stages are clear, right? Shall we move on?
Actually, this voice was the best. What did you do? I mean, change something?
No, I put it on the phone and now it's working, so I switched it off from the phone.
Sound is much better now, so, Janki ji.
Yes, yes. That's what I said. Very good.
Search me, it's mysterious. Nothing, I've done nothing other than I've made no change. I was only asking, is anyone new in class? Dheeraj Malik, Hari Om, I see that you are there. If anything is not clear, please say so, because don't think everybody knows everything. It's always good to have fresh questions.
Sure, I'll do that. This is my second class actually.
Okay. So, yeah, so all clear so far?
Yes. I mean, clear enough. I'm sure there's much more to pick up, but so far so good.
So far, so far. Okay. So let's continue. Who will read the next? What we do in this class is we read a paragraph and then whoever reads it summarizes it. So who will read the next paragraph? Come on, you guys take so long over it that I'm now going to start. Jyoti, you read the next paragraph, okay?
Okay. Thus must you give your personality a lift to your real being. You will then lift the whole world. Move to the central core of your personality. Become the axle around which the world revolves. Scores of sages have done that. The secret of their success is that they sought the truth within themselves. They did not rely on outside forces, nor attach themselves to any institution, to any mission. Buddha was not a Buddhist, nor Christ a Christian. Swami Rama Tirtha relied on no mission. Yet institutions and missions were built around their personalities. People who belong to institutions and missions raise dollars, put up buildings, buy up materiality. Such conquest has little to do with spiritual growth. I'll summarize this part.
Yes.
So we need to look more within and lift to raise ourselves to our real being. And that will be helpful for the whole world. So the secret of the success of all the sages in the past is that they sought the truth within themselves, not anywhere outside. So don't attach yourself to any mission or any institution. Just look within.
Yes, I said that there's no instruction here, Jyoti. It didn't say don't do that. It said these people didn't do that. Yes, lift yourself by yourself. And how do you lift yourself by yourself? Not by allegiance to anything outside, but your allegiance to the truth. Now you must appreciate that the person who writes this book has an institution to which many people, with which many people are associated. I have been associated for over 30 years. So don't you find a dichotomy? Don't you say, how is that possible? We have our own institutions. So should we not be part of the institution? Should we dump it? Were you surprised to read this? We created such a big institution, and then we are saying, oh, these people didn't create an institution.
Yes, I was.
Isn't it? Like, why? This is a dichotomy. This is like, what do you mean? How can you do one thing and say another? So first,
because we should, sorry.
Go ahead.
Isn't it like any other tool? The institution is also just a tool to help us reach that self that we are looking for. So if we get attached to it, then we are stopping our progress.
Yes, very good. Now you see why you can't say don't create the institution. That's not what he said. Because it's like, many people who sort of all the iconoclasts, they say that. They are the ones who say that don't a form is not God. Don't worship the form. No, a form is not God is correct. Manoj, you need to be muted, please. But that doesn't mean you don't worship a form. This is the interesting thing about it. Form is not God, correct. So the iconoclast said, break the form, throw the form. How dare you worship a form? Somebody in class also asked, yesterday, should we dump the form? No, it doesn't say that. The problem is not with what we are doing. The problem is always with how we are doing it. You can do exactly the same thing in a attached manner, or you can do same action in a detached manner. So it is not about whether or not you created an institution. It is about whether you are still looking for the truth within yourself. Now, if we want to serve the world, the institution is a good tool to function. Otherwise, you can't function. You don't have a bank account, you can't function, you can't do anything. But what are we doing should be very clear to us. We will always hunt the truth within ourselves. And that is what will make us great. We don't give our allegiance to anything. We don't say, okay, now we are bound by this institution or by this person or by this subject or by any of these things. All of these are things that we are going to apply in our journey. Now, what does it mean that you look within? What it means is that you apply your intellect. Don't take it literally, look within. Look within means what? You take an X-ray. What are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to look within? Look within means try and solve your questions yourself. Means apply your own intellect to it. Apply your own intellect, your own understanding to your life. Which is why even we as an institution, everybody who takes care of any department handles it, takes the decisions. Look within to yourself for your strength, for your guidance. Look within. People are always there outside to help us, but they are our help. We're not owing anyone allegiance. So I hope this part is very, very clear insofar as we seem to be sort of on two stools, right? On one hand, Vedanta says you have to have a guru. On one hand, it says your allegiance is only within. Baba, make up your mind. Poor Arjuna always has this problem in life. He feels like telling Krishna, please make up your mind. Vyamishrene vakyena buddham mohayasiva me. Putting my buddhi in moha. Vyamishrene vakyena. But perplexing speech, as it were. Tadekam vada nishchitya. Tat ekam vada. Give me one word. Don't tell me this side also, that side also, this side also, that side also. Poor Arjuna is very confused with life. But the fact is, the truth lies between the pairs of opposites. So what can anyone say? You have to look between the pairs, and there it is. So looking within or lifting yourself by yourself means that you apply your own head, your own intelligence, not in a fanatical way, because just as you can give allegiance to something outside, you can also have allegiance to something inside. That also you cannot afford to do. Each time you apply yourself, take fresh measurements.
We should not get bogged down, but we should be following certain rules laid down by the institution.
Yes and no, depends on whether the rule makes sense or not. Like for instance, there are some rules that you have to follow when you live in a country, for instance. You have to pay your taxes, for instance, right? So there are some rules. The traffic lights, you have to follow them. So in some sense, you have to follow rules. But in some sense, you have to also apply yourself whether this is the right time to follow this rule.
Okay, thanks.
Otherwise, we can't just follow a rule because somebody has made the rule. Otherwise, in Nazi's Germany, everybody who followed whatever Hitler said would have been right. So you have to know, this is where discrimination comes in, and that's where the biggest problem is. In every step, you have to apply yourself. Should I or shouldn't I? Suppose we as an institution, each one makes his own decision, everybody goes in different directions. It makes no sense, right? So there has to be one direction you're all moving. So that must be understood by everybody. And since you're moving in one direction, we must all have some buy-in into that direction. Now, people may have better ideas than us about how to go in that direction. They may have ideas by which you go faster. then we as an institution must adopt those ideas. So it sort of works both ways. Each thing you have to think of fresh or new, as if, I mean, this instance, what is the right thing for me to do?
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry if it sounds all vague and abstract, but I have no other way of expressing this thing. That is why at the end of the subject, you study Vedanta. Then at the bottom line, what is the bottom line of Vedanta? Bottom line.
Neti.
Okay, that's fine, but that's very high bottom line, just like a basic
Intellect.
Yes, use your intellect. Because at every stage, you have to use discrimination. Is this the time to follow? Is this the time not to follow? Is this the time to assert myself? Is this the time to be passive? Is this the time to be loving? Or is this the time to be, at war? Every single time you have to think this thing. That is why the Bible says, what are those beautiful lines? Anyone knows them? There's a time for, and it's a season for each thing. What are those lines? Beautiful lines. They are from Ecclesiastes, however you pronounce that. How do you pronounce that, Madeline? Ecclesiastes.
Ecclesiastes. Ecclesiastes.
So there's a beautiful line that says there's a season for everything, a time for sowing, a time for reaping, a time for, that's 7-8 verses on that. Very, very nice verses. It's a time for everything. Now, how will you know which is the time for what? You have to use your head. What else? So Vedanta can be summarized as whether you are at every stage applying your own discrimination. And that application of discrimination is what lifts us. Each time, every time you have performed the right action because you have thought about what it is. You didn't mechanically do anything. Sometimes you were stubborn and sometimes you were flexible. Sometimes you were wise and sometimes you were foolish. But you should know when to do what. I must tell you, the first time I saw Swamiji, I just joined the academy, and there was a great reverence for him. As you all know, there's always a great reverence for him because he just seems to know so much. You can ask him any question, anytime, anywhere, and he'll give you a really good answer. So there's so much reverence for him, and especially we were young, we were 21 years old, and then, he knew so much. And so, a few months we were living in the academy and all that. After a few months, for whatever reason, he decided to give us some entertainment. I know what he was doing. But then he was singing Hindi film songs and telling us stories and all. I mean, to the other end of the spectrum from this very wise and revered guru. And, the fact that you can be both ends of the spectrum. He can sing, he can dance, he can do tomfoolery, and he can be very wise and very knowledgeable. But when to do what? That's the question. He can be very forgiving and he can be extremely strict. Sometimes you wonder, he was so strict, but in that he was so forgiving. Like people who've done come late, he'll just finish you off. But if you do something really terrible, then he's forgiving. He finished somebody off for coming late and he forgave somebody for doing something much worse. So when to do what? That is the key to everything. And that is what it means by lift yourself, you lift the whole world. Because if you know the right action, imagine that at every stage, every action you perform will be of benefit to the people around. You lift the whole world. And when you unfold the self, then you are a beacon light for centuries to come. Like see Buddha or Christ or many other great souls, for centuries after them. When was the Gita written? When are we benefiting from it? Centuries later. So lift yourself up. Do not look to outside sources for internal guidance. Yes, you can take help and we must take help. But the decision is finally ours. The buck stops here. No more pushing the buck. No saying that that person gave me bad advice. That person did this. That person did that. No. It's now the buck stops here. No more passing the buck.
Good morning, Dr. Jankiji.
Hariom, what did you
Good morning, Hariom. Yeah, I've just got a question. You mentioned regarding uplifting yourself. So you should be up. I don't know whether you should, but is uplifting means you're going to the higher ideal every time. So to obviously reach wherever you want to reach, but it's not just about uplifting. Or for example, I know it might be very materialistic, but okay, so uplifting myself, people buy things to uplift themselves for a short period, but then that goes away. So it's always something which will stay with you.
Well, not necessarily. This is the whole thing about discrimination. You can use temporary aids. Suppose you're feeling very bad and you feel that if you see a movie or you buy something, you'll feel better. Then there's no rule that you shouldn't do this. There's no rule that you shouldn't take a temporary happiness. But that's the thing. For everything, there is a season. Bharat has put it there. To everything, there's a season. And a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted. Interesting. It's, when we write, we say time to sow, time to reap. But here is a longer version. Since we don't know the original language, we don't know which was the right one. A time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up. So there's a time for instant pleasures and there's a time not to fall for them. So that's the whole thing about discrimination. In that moment, you have to take the right call. Is it sounding too abstract?
No, that's clear. Thank you.
Because this is the whole problem with Vedanta, that it is very difficult to word it. And any of these geniuses in the past who have worded it, thank God to them, otherwise it would be impossible to word it at all. So, which is why study of the scriptures is very important for teachers. If you want to become a teacher, they say you have to study the scriptures. Because sometimes words fail you, but other people in the past have put it in words, so it's just easier to use those words. So I hope that that's clear. That's fine, right, Mukesh?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it's not that you deny yourself pleasure. It is that you know when is the right time to do. There's a time to go on a travel. There's time to fool around. There's time to get up in the morning and study. Different stuff.
One's not denying oneself with, example, for going to a movie or enjoying a meal out. It's not. But where is it taking one to? Is what you're basically discriminating. Is this going to take me to a higher place or a higher ideal? Mm-hmm. So just going for the sake of going to a movie, it's not going to do anything. It's just, as you said, this temporary pleasure and happiness for a while. An hour, 2 hours, then you're back to where you were before.
Yes, but sometimes you require that, right? Sometimes the pain is so much, you need a painkiller. So take it. Why should you not take a painkiller? But you don't subsist on painkillers. You please try to also find out what is the cure to that ailment.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Thank
nothing against anything in this world. Nothing. Everything has its time, everything has its place, everything has its use. We just need to know what is the time, place, and use.
Thank you.
So in this context, what's the difference between being expedient and being discriminatory?
That also you have to decide, is this the time to be expedient? Is this the time to strike while the iron is hot? Or is this the time to not take undue advantage of people? So it is all for you to figure that out yourself. And that's the real hard work. So if you think something is incorrect, don't do it. If you think this is the right time to do it, then do it. And do it as a way of learning. So did I get it right? Did I do it wrong? Let's not find excuses. You know, the problem with us is not that we made mistakes. The problem with us is that we justify our mistakes. Making mistakes is a human phenomenon. To err is human. Human phenomenon. It's also a human phenomenon to justify our mistakes. But that's where you snap it. You say, I'm not interested in the justification. I'm interested in growth. So let's say that you were feeling miserable. And then you said, okay, whatever you do when you are feeling miserable, you went to the mall, or you saw a movie, or you went skating, or whatever in the world you did because you were feeling bad. And then you felt better, and then your intellect was available for you to think further. Then you did a good thing. On the other hand, if you hadn't gone for that, and you just sat at home and just, sort of wallowed more and more in depression, then you didn't get anywhere out of doing that. So you have to decide. There are times where, it's a really good opportunity, maybe to make a lot of money. So you seize the opportunity. Sometimes it's not an opportunity. It is sheer exploitation of another person. Then you decide, no, I'm not going to do that. So, Kalyan, same answer. You have to use your own discrimination, make the mistakes, and decide how you would like to learn from that for future.
Ma'am, it's not really everything is fair in love and war.
Meaning?
That means you can't really, you have to always discriminate and follow the fair practices to remain righteous in the field.
You have to know when to be fair and when to not be fair. Because, okay, that's what the Krishna avatar shows us. That here are the Kauravas, the wicked people. They are right, left, and center, breaking every rule. The Pandavas are the good guys. They are not allowed to break rules because they are the good guys. But the end result is that the Kauravas are going to crush the Pandavas. So he broke rules. Krishna himself broke rules, right? He told lies, he cheated, he did all sorts of things. But the whole point was to get back righteousness. There was nothing to be gained by anybody if the negative guys ruled the kingdom, right? So he wanted to bring back righteousness. For that, he had to do a few underhand things. So we cannot say that you have to be righteous each time. No, you have to think, is this the right time? If you are a police officer, you're expected to follow traffic rules. But if you are chasing a getaway car of robbers and you say a red light, you can't stop. You have to break the red light just as the thief has just done. So each thing you have is individual. That doesn't mean that the police have the right to break every law. That's not what it means. Each individual decision, like you see in the US, some of these police guys, they themselves kill people. And that must be happening here, and maybe we don't know it. So just because you're police doesn't give you the right to break the law. So yeah, each time you have to think for yourself, right action or not right action. Uttara. But the story clearly demonstrates that any wrong action for right intentions also will have consequences. Everything, right action, wrong action, everything has consequences. There is no getting away from consequences. But in life, you have to choose the lesser of the two evils. Often your choices are only that. If a person has diabetes and he gets gangrene in his leg, he will have to, for the right intention, which is to save the person, you cut the leg. But then the consequences are there. Now this person is devoid of a leg. So everything is going to have consequences. If you don't cut the leg, also there's consequence. And if you cut the leg, there is consequences. That is why, now there's a big thing about interpreting the scriptures, but you have to study Vedanta before you interpret scriptures. Otherwise, you learn anything from anything. You will hear lots of lectures saying how if you do any bad, then something bad will happen. Of course. But you chose the lesser of the two evils. You have to start with the assumption that Krishna knows what he's doing, and then try to work backwards as to what is the moral of the story after removing everything that is obviously absurd. It's not easy, these things. Dharma is supposed to be one of the most complicated things. Dharma is nothing but the capacity of our intellect to apply itself to right action. So is this paragraph clear? That you lift yourself, you do not depend on external sources. You can take help, but don't depend upon it. You have to, there's no alternative but to apply your own thinking. Without believing your thinking is the best. That's the other part. Your thinking can also be wrong. Okay, so who will read the next paragraph? Madeline?
Reflect for a moment. Who form congregations, associations, and institutions? Who meet in large numbers, form great assemblies, not stalwarts, not the real masters of the world. No spiritual colossus lives in numbers. He does not find the need for an association or mission. He lives alone, all by himself. Only weaklings gather crowds around them. Just mark the animal kingdom. Sheep and deer move in herds. Sparrows and pigeons flock in numbers. But a lion moves majestically all alone. An eagle soars in the sky all alone. Yet a single lion or eagle can put to flight the congregations. Such is the might and the power of yourself. Gain that inner strength. Move to the core of your personality. Get to the fourth state of self-realization. You become the King of Kings, the God of Gods. So in this paragraph, it is explained that who form congregations, associations, assemblies, not the wise one, not the enlightened one. He lives on his own. He does the work all on his own, by himself. And so the paragraph encourages us to gain that inner strength to go on the path on our own and to become introvert. So by doing this, we gain the strength, we become the King of Kings.
Very good. You are alone on this path. While we are together, we are alone. And that's what we have to understand. We are not dependent on anyone else. We are not attached to anyone else. We don't need anyone else. And yet we are together in some sort of way. Each one is an individual. Each one has to work out his path himself. Help is no doubt available, support is no doubt available, but each one of us will have to do it for ourselves. We cannot rely on anyone. Just cannot. It is us who must be of help to others. If and when they want it, of course. this capacity to direct your own life is what character is all about, is what being stalwart is all about. And a good teacher does not create followers. A good teacher creates great souls. How many followers do you have? People are very impressed. 10,000, 15,000. That's not the job of a teacher. The job of a teacher is to create greatness. पारस में हर संत में बड़ो ही अंतर जान, एक लोहा कंचन करे, दूजा करे आप समान. Between the paras money, that's the alchemist stone. It's a stone by which you touch base some metals and it becomes gold. Between that alchemist stone and the saint, bado hi antar jaan. Big difference. What's the difference? The stone, it converts metals into gold. But the guru converts people into himself. Meaning that alchemist stone doesn't create other alchemist stones. It doesn't give its power. But the guru is supposed to do that. Create others who would be as great. So he's not improving people. He's creating other people who will improve people, who will help people. Okay, so that's it for today.
Okay. Hari Om.